Hello, students. How are you all? I am your educator and mentor, Gaurav, and today the class is very interesting because today we will be studying about the basics of robotics. And this will be your demo lecture, that means a demo class, simple class, and today's target will be the way I will be explaining so that you can understand if you are a class 3 or 4 students or even a class 8, 9 student, 10th standard student, you can understand what is robotics and what are the basics parts of robotics in a very simple way, right? So the core of robotics and the basic portion we will be discussing today, and after that we will arrange other classes in which we will be discussing about robotics in a depth way. Okay, so let's start with first question, that is what is robot. So whenever we are studying about robotics, a question arises in our mind about robots. So the first question in terms of robotics, if we study robotics, that will be what is robot. So a robot is basically an automatically controlled, reprogrammable and a multi-purpose machine. Now, sir, you have written this so technical things, we are not getting it. So I'm there to help you out. So automatically controlled. Now what does that mean? So what happens is whenever you see a robot, it is an automatically controlled device. Now what that mean actually? Automatically controlled means a robot can perform its functions on its own way without the necessity of any human being who will be observing it or monitoring it 24 hours. That means it can perform all its functions on its own. There is no need of any human being with it who will be observing it. Getting my point? Next is reprogrammable. Now, as I said that if you are a kid and watching this video, then I will try my best to explain you about. Now, what is the meaning of reprogrammable? So you can observe one thing, a short form, that is program. To understand reprogrammable, first we need to understand what is a program. Let me tell you in a very basic way and in a very short way so that we can continue our course. So program. So what happens is whenever we need to communicate with any machine or any computer, so the computer understands only one language which we call as binary language. Which we call as binary language. Sir, what does that mean? Binary language means it understands only 0 and 1. So all the instructions it's performing, all the calculation it's doing, all the program they are being executed, it understands only in the form of 0 and 1, and we understand only human language. Now I need to communicate with the computer, but the computer understands only 0 and 1 and I understand only human language. So there is a big problem in it. Now how to communicate with the computer? And at this time the hero of our story is the programs. And what are programs? Program or a programming language is basically the way, or you can understand it as a translator. So programming language is a translator which translates the human language into machine language. So whatever I am trying to say to the computer, I will be typing as a form of code in the programming language, and the programming language being a translator, it will translate it to the computer in the machine code or the machine language. So you understood what is programming language? Programming language is just a medium to communicate with the computer or machines. Now what is the program then? Program are the set of instructions or the codes that we are writing in the programming language. We can say as set of instructions or code. So what is program? Program is the codes or the instructions. Now we made a device which is called as robot. It has a mini computer in it which we call as microcontroller, or it may contain microprocessor. What are the difference between them? We will discuss it soon. So now we gave the program, we gave the certain instruction to the robot. Now robot are reprogrammable devices. That means a robot's behavior can be changed by just changing the program. That means if we change the code or if we change the instructions, on the basis of that the robot will perform its functions. Getting my point? Okay. And last word is a multi-purpose machine. As I said that a robot's behavior can be changed by just changing the codes or the programs, and on the basis of the instructions that we are giving to the device, we are giving to the robot, it will perform its functions. Now why we do need to reprogram the robots? So this is a very simple way to explain that with one single device you can perform many functions. So why not to use one set of device and just change the code, and on the basis of that it will perform its functions. so it will be easier for us to execute things. Getting my point? So this is the basic fundamental concept of robot. So whenever you are studying robotics, the question arises, what is robot? And we have discussed this in a very interesting and in a very basic way. Now let us understand that what is robotics. We understood what is robot. Now a question may arise in our mind that what is robot? I'm sorry, what is robotics? So if I tell you in a very simple way, so robotics is basically the field of science where we combine three portions. What are the three portions? We combine electronics, we combine fundamentals of some concepts of science, and we merge technology. So robotics is basically a combination of these three fields, where with these three combinations we make a certain device which we name as robot, which can perform the functions same like a human being or even more than a human can do. So its efficiency is even more and more than human beings. So what is robotics? It is a field of science, or it is a study in which we combine the three things, that is electronics, fundamentals of science, and technology, and we make a certain device, we make a certain gadget, we make a certain machine which we name as robot, and the robot has the efficiency or the capacity even like a human being or even like a more than a human being can do. Getting my point? So I need to discuss little bit more thing about robotics. We will not extend, we will not go much in the technical terms, since I said that it is a basic class. So in robotics we try to copy the 3H of human body. Now sir, what is the 3H of human body? I'm not getting this. Don't worry, I'm here to explain. So the 3H of human body is basically the head, the heart, and the hands. So what is the head, heart, hands? And you are saying that in robotics we copy them. So do we take the real parts of human body in robotics? No, no, no. It's not like that. We try to copy them. Now, what is the function of head? In head we have the brain, which is the most powerful thing of the human body, because it takes the major decisions. It controls the human body. Similarly, as I said, that robot are the devices which has equivalent capacity or more than the capacity of a human being. So in terms of robotics, the head, the brain, in terms of robotics, the brain we associate with the word processor or the microcontroller or certain softwares. So basically, if we compare the human body and if we compare robot, if we compare the human body and a robot, so the head in terms of robot is the processor or the microcontrollers which are taking the major decisions or controlling the whole robot. Clear? Next is heart. What is the function of heart in human body? To pump oxygenated blood and supply the blood to the whole body to give the power supply, or we can work, we can get energy. It mainly gives the energy to us. Similarly, we made a device which we give calling it as robot, and obviously the robot needs now energy to perform. It needs certain power supply. So if we compare the heart of human body in terms of robotics or a robot, it will be certain device or certain thing which is giving it the power supply. It may be battery, it may be cells, etc. Clear? Right? Now last portion is hands. In robotics we try to copy the last H, which is the hands. Why we use hand in human body? We have hands to lift things, to do day-to-day work. Similarly, robots are also given the ability to do certain works in terms of hands. Now in robotics we compare hands as certain devices like actuators, grippers, robotic arms. I'm writing in short form, you can understand. Robotic arms, effectors, etc. So these are the things which are used in robot to do activities like gripping things, holding things, or any kind of lifting things. So this kind of things we are using, and as a result we are copying the human body structure and pasting it in robotics so that we can have a base. From this fundamental concept we are developing this, right? A robot is developed, or in robotics we are copying this 3H, that is head, heart, hand. Clear? Okay. Now we will be discussing about the types of robots. Let me rub it very quickly so that no don't have any wastage of time. Okay. Types of robots. What are the types of robots? Types of robots we will be observing. There are many types of robots if we actually see in depth, but basically there are humanoid robots, there are multi-legged robots, manipulators. Now what are those? We will explain in detail, but since as I said this is the basic class, we will just look on the basic things. Manipulators, drones, these are also a type of robots, etc. Getting my point? So these are basic types of robots, and obviously there are many types of robots, but in basic if you need to understand you can go through this. Next is robots has the four main modules. So what are the modules? That means the four main aspects that we need to know and we need to look after whenever we are making a robot. First is kinematics. Next is the dynamics. Third is the control schemes. And fourth is the intelligent factors. Now what are these? Let me tell you in basic way. Kinematics, obviously kinematics, if you have read in your class 9th and 10th or 11th and 12th, you will read a chapter in physics known as kinematics. Kinematics is basically known as motion. Whenever we are studying the motion, whenever we are studying the dimensions, axis, so this portion comes under kinematics. Obviously, whenever we are making a robot, and if you are making a multi-legged robot or drones or even like any kind of robot, basically it has the ability to move. So how it is moving or what should be the structure, how we will make the robot chassis, that basically is the frame of the robot. So this all study comes under kinematics. So what are the four main module? One is kinematics, next is dynamics, how we will be arranging the things, how we will be arranging the overall robot, what will be the dynamics of it, how will you arrange all the circuits. So these things we study here. Next is the control schemes, how we will be controlling the robot, how it will be taking the major decisions, what program you need to instruct, what programs you need to give, what are the codes that you need to mention, that comes under the control schemes. Next is the intelligent factors. Now intelligent factors means here is the case where we use the concept of AI and we give a ability to the robot to think on its own and take the major decision, right? So these things come under the intelligent factors. So whenever we are making a robot, any kind of robot, we follow this basic four modules, that is kinematics, dynamics, control schemes and intelligent factors. Clear? Okay. Next we need to understand a very basic thing, as I said, about programming. So let me tell you again so that you may not forget the concept. What is program? Program is basically, first you need to understand what is programming language, and I have discussed that obviously. So programming language is basically the medium, the way of communicating from my side with the computer. So whenever we need to communicate, me or you or any person, we need to communicate with the machine or the computer, we need a translator in between who will be translating our language into the machine language. Clear? So that is the programming language. That is basically a type of software in which we type codes. We give certain set of instructions and that programming language convert that code into machine language. Clear? Now one concept you need to understand here is about the programming of robot. Programming of a robot. Suppose you made a hardware. Suppose you made the device, that is the robot chassis or the robot body. You made each and everything, you gave it the circuits, you designed each and everything, you gave the power supply, you gave the circuits in a right way, and all the necessary things you have given it. The main thing is, as I say, that it is an automatically controlled device. So why it is automatically controlled device? Because it has a certain way of thinking. We have given it the way to think, and that you need to do with the help of programs. That means you have to program your robot. You have to give a certain set of instructions on basis of which it will do the task for which it has been made. So for this you need a device in robot which we call as Arduino. Sir, so is Arduino a type of software? No, 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 no. I will discuss with you soon, but let us understand in a basic way. Whenever we need to program our device, whenever we need to program the robot, we use a device called Arduino. Obviously, we can use any other device also, like Raspberry Pi is also one of the most famous thing. But as a beginner, as I said, we are learning the basics of robotics, and as a beginner, we need to understand and we have to start with the scratch. So for beginners, we use this device called Arduino. What is Arduino? Arduino is basically a type of mini computer in which you have processor, in which you have RAM, in which you have ROM, in which you have certain circuits and input output slots, right? For taking the input, processing it and giving the output. The basic way how a computer works. So all the things are given in the Arduino. So Arduino is not actually a type of software, it's a hardware plus combination of software. Sir, what do you mean by this? So Arduino is basically a board which is a mini computer in which it has processor or the microcontroller or the microprocessor, it has RAM, it has ROM and input output slots for receiving the input signals and giving the output accordingly. So it is a type of board which is used to take major decisions. It is a type of board which is used to take major decisions and it controls the whole robot, because we are programming in this particular thing, in this particular board, right, in which you have microcontroller. As I said, what is microcontroller, I will explain you. What is the difference between microprocessor and microcontroller, I will explain you, don't worry. So it has processor, it has RAM, it has ROM, input output slots and other pins are also there, circuits are also, many things are there, but basically you can understand basics in this way, right? Getting my point? So Arduino. Now also there are many types of Arduino board. Currently I do not have any Arduino board with me, but soon if I get, and obviously I will show you how it looks and how it performs. It's very interesting to know, right? So there are many types of Arduino in the market. We are using, as a beginner, we are mainly using Arduino Uno, right? This is the core of robotics. If we are using, if we are starting with the robotics basics, we use this Arduino Uno, right? And it operates on mainly 7 to 12 volts and it operates on DC supply, right? So Arduino Uno is the basic board that we are starting with, which is a type of mini computer which we are using to program the robot. Clear? And another famous board is Raspberry Pi. But Raspberry Pi basically we are using whenever, if you are getting advanced knowledge, if you have advanced knowledge in terms of robotics, we are using Raspberry Pi. In complex robots, we are using Raspberry Pi board. Actually what happens is, if you Raspberry Pi is so much powerful than Arduino that it can run any operating system on it. Like you can run Linux, you can run Windows and any other operating system. You can run multiple programming languages. Actually it's a type of computer only, right? So Raspberry Pi is a powerful tool rather than Arduino, and we are using it when we have learned the basics and we are moving towards the advanced. And whenever we are making complex machines, complex robots, or we are having a big large project, we are using Raspberry Pi. Clear? Okay. Now you need to understand a basic things about robotics, that is motors. What are motors? Motors are used to create the movement. For kinematics purpose, for the motion we need motors. And obviously we are using DC motors. We are not using, whenever we are using current supply, in terms of current supply if we talk, we are using DC current supply, DC voltage. We are not using AC, because in very basic way AC is far more dangerous as compared to DC. You can work with DC, it has an optimum voltage, 9 to 12 volt you can work with. So first we are discussing about motors, right? So there is a DC motors, servo motors, right? And third you can say about solid state, I'm sorry, not solid state. So first, okay, let me first discuss with this both. So DC motors and servo motors. What are DC motor? DC motor are basic motors that we are using for the movement, and it works on DC voltage, direct current voltage, optimum 6 to 12 volts it is having, and for the motion of the robots we are using DC motors, right? Even you can change the direction of the rotation of the motor by just changing or opposite. If you make the poles opposite, if you change the uh, potentials, it will reverse the direction of the motion. So first is DC motor, next is servo motor. It's a special type of DC motor in which the rotation is very precise. The rotation is very precise. If you need for complex type jobs, for complex robots you are making, where you need very precise angle, then we are using servo motor. We have here PWM, that is pulse width modulation. With that we control the servo motor. There is a very basic angle from 0 degree to 180 degree it can turn, or from 0 degree to 360 degree, and even the number of turns also we can regulate it, right? So this is the basic fundamentals of motors. No need to go in detail. So motors we are using, that we need to understand. So one of the main one is DC motor, next is servo motor, right? Now we'll be discussing something about batteries, and then few important things we will be having. I will be discussing about the programming languages that you are mainly using in robots, and after that we will wind up today's class. Okay, so let's start with the next topic.